Hey guys, so I finally had JJ, and he's here, and it's been about a month since I've done an update. I am 2 weeks postpartum. He is 2 weeks old as of Saturday, and it is Monday now. So, first I am going to tell you about my labor and delivery, and then I will update you on him, and then you guys can finally meet him. So, on the 30th of April, my original due date, I woke up at about 7:30, and I was having really bad back pains, and they felt like my Braxton Hicks contractions, the ones that I got, like, that were really strong. And so I was thinking, okay, well, maybe this isn't, maybe it isn't. So I told my mom what was going on, because she would be the one that would drive us to the hospital. And I told her that I was going to give it about until 11 o'clock and to see if it stopped or progressed or not. So I took a hot shower, and I just kind of laid in bed for a while. And I timed my contractions, and they were about 5 to 7 minutes apart. By the time it got to 11 o'clock, they were 3 minutes apart, and they were so painful that I was cussing up a storm. I was saying stuff like Jesus tits, and I'm not the kind of person that says stuff like that. So I called my mom, and she got dressed and came to pick us up. And I called labor and delivery to let them know I was coming, because I had actually been in there the Thursday before that, and for false labor. So by the time we got to the hospital, it was just about noon, and so they admitted me, sent me up to labor and delivery, and they checked me, and I was 3 centimeters. The Monday before that, I had had a doctor's appointment, and I was only 1 centimeter. So they gave it an hour, and they checked me again, and I was 4.5 centimeters. Or, no, I was 4 centimeters. So they fully admitted me for labor, and they let me take a bath in the jacuzzi, because I really wanted one. It sounded so good at the time. And at first it relaxed me a lot. The contractions weren't as painful, but then they started getting even more stronger, to the point where I was turned around with my stomach up against the jacuzzi jets, leaning over the tub, and I kept turning back and forth to get the jets, like, to where they were kind of massaging my stomach and my back. And they told me that as soon as I got out, I could get an epidural. So I got out of there after being in there for like maybe 5 or 10 minutes. And I had to have Jason help me in and out of the tub. And I was like clinging to him because the contractions hurt so bad. And he had to help me get dressed and everything. So then when I got back into bed, they called anesthesia, and the lady came up, and they checked me again, and I was 4.5 centimeters. So they gave me the epidural, and they kept having to readjust it because it was only going to my right side, and then they had me lay on my left side to help it get to my left side. So by the time it finally kicked in, I could still move my left leg a little bit, but I couldn't feel anything. And I was sitting there trying to pick up my right leg with my hands to move it and adjust it so that I could sit upright, and I couldn't. I had to have someone grab me and pull me up on the bed. But it was really fun after I got the epidural, because right before that, they had given me fentanyl in my IV, which is the same drug they use for the epidural, and it makes you really, really loopy when they give it to you through the IV. So I was high as a kite, and I kept saying, like, just really weird things. I can't remember exactly what, but I remember my mom kept looking at me funny, and Jason just kept laughing at me. And so after they got the IV worked and everything, they took my blood pressure to make sure it was fine, and then they checked me again, and I was 6 centimeters. And then Jason's mom got there. So we waited, and they came in about an hour later, and I was 8 to 9 centimeters. And so, once again, we waited, and then at about 6:45, they came in and checked me again, and I was 10 centimeters. They told me that whenever I felt the need to push, to call them, and I could start pushing. I didn't really feel the need to push at first, but then my water broke, and I wasn't sure it was my water. Honestly, I thought I had farted, because all I felt was like, it felt like just air going between my legs, and I heard a pop, and so they looked, and it was my water, and there was meconium in it. So they started to get a little worried, and they, the nurse told me that, as soon as I felt the need to push, I needed to let them know. Well, about 5 minutes later, while she was monitoring my contractions and checking my heart rate, my blood pressure, my temperature, and all that, I kind of felt like I had to poop, and I told her that I think I needed to push, and I told her either I needed to push or I needed to get into that bathroom stat, which I couldn't because I had the epidural, couldn't walk, and I had a catheter in. So, they called the doctor in and told him that I needed to push, and he got there about 3 minutes later, and I started to push at 7 o'clock, and then at 7:13 p.m., JJ was born. He had the umbilical cord wrapped around his neck twice, but it was loose, so it only wrapped around his neck when he went into the birth canal, which he was actually sitting in there for quite a while. But he had also swallowed some of the meconium, and it was stuck in his throat. He made a little noise after they unwrapped the umbilical cord, and they set him on my chest while they cleaned him off. But he was trying to breathe, but he couldn't because of all the gunk in his throat. So they took him to the warmer and got all the gunk out of his throat, and they had to put him on oxygen. He didn't breathe for the first 2 minutes that he was alive, but he finally started to breathe, and it was just like the happiest moment of my life because I was so worried about him. I thought that he wasn't going to make it, and like even just now thinking about it makes me want to cry because I can't imagine him not making it. I can't imagine like what my life would have been like if he had, yeah. But he made it. He is a little trooper. He weighed 6 pounds, 13 ounces, and was 21 inches long. He only had a cone head for about 2 hours after he was born. And we ended up being released from the hospital on May 1st at about 8 o'clock. So the very next day, he was only in there for about 24 hours. And we got to go home. And so that's my labor and delivery story. Okay, so for his update, he had, at first he dropped 8% of his birth weight. We had to go in a day after he got released from the hospital for a follow-up, and he had dropped down to 6 pounds, 5 ounces. So then they had us come in the next day, and he had gone back up to 6 pounds, 6 ounces. So they wanted me to schedule his 2-week checkup by the 10th, but I couldn't get in before the 18th. So he has a 2-week checkup on the 18th, and we have a circumcision scheduled, but I may have to call in today and cancel that because we don't know if we can afford it. They want $180 up front, and the rest paid 30 days after, and it's over $300. So Jason's grandpa's offered to loan us the money, but I don't know how that's going over. But last week we had my WIC nurse come, and she weighed him and measured him. His cone head had gone down, so he was 20 inches at his last follow-up, and then when she measured him, he had grown half an inch, and he weighed 7.3 pounds. So 7 pounds, 3 ounces. He is starting to lift his head on his own. He doesn't do it for very long, but he does it. He puts weight down on his legs. He has grown a full inch since he has been born. My mom and I measured him yesterday, and he was 21 inches, so back to his birth length. And he is meeting all the milestones that he shouldn't be meeting until he is a month old. So we have a very, very smart baby here. And Jason and I just couldn't be more proud. And it's awesome being a mom. I love him so much. But yeah, so I guess you guys can finally meet him now. He's sleeping in his swing. And here he is. Say hi, JJ. My little jelly bean. He looks just like his dad. You have no idea. He doesn't even really look like me. He has my cheeks and my hair color, and that's about it. My mom's happy, though, because he has her nose. And my little dog Cupcake is extremely jealous. She hates not getting all the attention anymore, because she used to be the baby of the family. But now she's not. Come here. Come here. Fine, don't come here. So that is his 2-week update and my labor and delivery story. So I'm happy that you guys finally got to meet him. I have been trying to make an update for so long now, and I kept getting interrupted. But I am also currently in the middle of making my A Day in the Life of a Teen Mom video. So that should be up by the end of the week. And yeah,